I want to thank, first of all, and introduce, we have Kathy Sheridan, who is a bridge inspector from the Thruway Authority, Terry Toll, who is the president of Tappan Constructors. We have Inspector Reagan, who has been leading the operation for the state police, James Malatris, who is the state director of operations, and Melissa DeRosa, who is heading up the communications operation. As people know, at about noon today, there was a crane accident. It was one of the 28 cranes that is installing pilings by using what they call a vibrating hammer. It was a new crane. It was a crane that had done much more significant heavy work. This was basically routine work, and there was a malfunction on the crane, and the crane boom collapsed into the what we call the old Tappan Bridge, the existing Tappan Bridge. We did inspections on the bridge. There is surface damage to one lane, which is the southernmost lane on the bridge. And it is what I would call significant damage. It's clearly visible. It's several feet. And there is also some structural damage to that lane underneath the bridge. So there's surface damage on the pavement. There's also structural damage below the bridge. That lane will require work before it is operational. As I mentioned earlier, there were 3 people who had very minor injuries. To the best of our information, and that is still correct, that the injuries were minor. The boom collapsed, and the damage is significant. To the crane is mangled, but it was about noon. Luckily, it wasn't in rush hour, and miraculously, no one hit the boom, and the boom didn't hit a car, and there were no injuries, which really, to me, is nothing short of a miracle. Because when you see the actual crane and the damage to the roadway, it really is nothing short of a miracle that nobody was hurt. Again, we brought in bridge inspectors, structural engineers to inspect the bridge. It's an old bridge. This is the bridge that was being replaced, and we wanted to make sure that it was safe before we allowed cars to go over it. All the cars had been removed from the bridge and both approaches. The question now is when the bridge becomes operational once again. Obviously, we all want the bridge. Pause. That is from someone who heard the bridge was out and decided to commute by helicopter, which I don't think is going to be necessary. The bridge is empty now. The queues are now empty. We will be reopening the bridge on this timetable. The 3 northbound lanes, just for your orientation, northbound is coming from Westchester to Rockland, headed upstate. Southbound, Rockland to Westchester, headed towards New York City. The 3 northbound lanes will be open within literally minutes. 5:15 is the estimated time for the 3 northbound lanes to open. That was the priority because the volume at this time of day is basically headed northbound. So those 3 northbound lanes will be open. The southbound lanes, which is where the damage occurred, 1 southbound lane will be open at about 7 o'clock this evening. 2 southbound lanes should be open at 8 o'clock this evening. We have to place plates on the roadway to make those roadways safe. There was some surface damage. Putting the plates on, moving the barriers will take some time. So southbound, 1 lane at 7, the 2nd lane at 8 o'clock. My personal recommendation is if you're going southbound, the volume is basically light at this time of day going southbound. I would still suggest an alternative route for this evening on the southbound. Kingston Bridge, Bear Mountain Bridge, etc. But northbound will have 3 lanes operational. By tomorrow morning's rush hour, which is then the reverse, where the southbound traffic is open, we expect to have that southernmost lane closed, but the other lanes open and operational. So at the end of the day, no one was hurt. The people who were on the bridge experienced a delay, and we apologize for that. There was a disruption on local traffic, but nobody got hurt, and that's what's most important. For the thrust of the rush hour this evening, the northbound lanes will be open. Tomorrow morning, all but one southbound lane will be open. So all in all, given the accident and given what it could have been, as I mentioned before, I'm going to say a special prayer because this was nothing short of a miracle, and we were very, very lucky that this is the consequence of what could have been a really, really terrible tragedy today. I want to thank the local responders who were nothing short of phenomenal. State police did a great job. The local police did a great job. I want to thank the Rockland Sheriff very much for their work. And I want to thank all the people who were on the bridge for their patience. It was a long 4 hours to wait on that bridge. I spoke to many of them. You could see the frustration in their face, but by and large, they were also understanding. And they saw what happened, and they saw the crane fell. And New Yorkers, unfortunately, are getting all too accustomed to dealing with crises. But I like to say when things are at their worst, that's when New Yorkers are at their best. And New Yorkers were at their best today, both the first responders and the commuters who were on the bridge, who showed incredible patience and some good humor about it at the end of the day. So I want to thank them. Any questions for myself or?
So what do you say to the drivers, commuters, who might have some real anxiety because you guys don't know how exactly this happened? That they have some concerns that it could happen again.
Well, let's remember what happened. Nothing happened with the bridge, right? It was a crane that was a new crane that had a malfunction. We will do an investigation and find out exactly what the problem was with the crane and why it happened, and we'll make sure it didn't happen again. But there are equipment failures, you know. The good news is it didn't affect the bridge. It had nothing to do with the bridge. It's not a bridge incident. It's a crane incident, right? So if you have to have anxiety, you should have crane anxiety and not bridge anxiety.
So do you think they'll suspend the other cranes until you can figure out what exactly this malfunction is?
The manufacturer's representative for that crane is on site. It was a new crane, so the contractor's talking to the manufacturer's representative about it, and they'll be inspecting the other cranes. It was not damaged. I believe it was not damaged. Does anyone? It was not damaged. Yes. Yes.
What's the timetable on the southernmost lane heading towards Westchester when that would reopen?
We don't know.
Could it be multiple days, or do you anticipate?
It could be multiple days, but we don't know. The damage was not. It was significant, but it was not extensive. But there's a separate team that designs the repair and the remedy, and they're now designing what repair they think is necessary to keep it safe. And once they design that repair, then we can tell you how long it is. But the way the bridge works is basically flexible lanes. So we move the barrier depending on the traffic flow, and one lane being out is manageable.
Right now, you mentioned that this is, you're looking at it as a mechanical failure. Is there
It could have, we don't know. It could have been an operator mistake. It could be an equipment failure. We just don't know at this time.
Do you have a timetable as to, I know they have to investigate all of this, whether it's operator or mechanical, any timetable on when you will have that answer or when you want to have that answer?
I do not know how long the investigation will take. As soon as we have an answer, you'll have an answer. Obviously, we want the answer as soon as possible. We're operating multiple cranes on this project. By the way, we're operating multiple cranes all over the state. So the faster we know what it is to make sure this never happens again, that's exactly what we want.
As far as the two workers that were injured, were they on the crane or?
There was one worker injured. I believe he's back at work already.
He's still being checked out, but he walked out. And he was in the cofferdam, not on the crane.
He was not on the crane. He was in what they call the cofferdam. He was being checked out more as a precautionary measure. He walked out himself, and we believe there are only minor injuries to him, if any.
So total three people
There were two relatively minor car accidents. Inspector, correct me if I'm wrong, State Police. Two relatively minor car accidents. When the cars stopped to avoid hitting the crane, there were two fender benders, which may have had minor injuries accompanied with them. One worker who had minor injuries / bruising, who was being checked out just as a matter of caution.
Was work stopped on the new bridge, and if so, when will it resume?
You want to speak to that?
Yeah. The critical path of this job is the main span, the towers you see that have gotten so much publicity. We're actually working our night shift tonight, so the critical path has not been delayed.
Work was stopped temporarily after this happened?
It wasn't stopped on purpose, but you can imagine it got everyone's attention.
Unintentional stoppage doesn't happen often. Again, let me end where I began. This could have been a real tragedy, and we could have had a real loss of life. So we say a special prayer and a special thanks. And again, to the first responders, this was a highly unusual situation. The crane was collapsed across the entire bridge. It was a lot of machinery to move. And this is literally within hours. The damage has been removed. The bridge has been reopened. The bridge has been inspected. The slight damage on the surface will be repaired, and traffic will be getting back to basically normal for rush hour. So all in all, I want to congratulate the entire team. If you told me 5 hours ago this is how the day would end up, when I first heard this news, my heart stopped. But as it turned out, the team did a really extraordinary job, and I just want to congratulate them. Thank you.